Magic in the morning at 8:35. It's Taylor Swift's Is It Over Now? Not quite. We've got, 6, 7 days left in it? The month of September, that is. Mike Barrett's in for a weekly installment of Good Policies from Barrett Insurance. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
I am well. I'm hoping no matter how good I am today that your little man had an even better day than I could possibly have the other day.
Yeah, Ethan had his 11th birthday on the 19th, and it was a great birthday. Had a good birthday party for him over the weekend with a lot of his friends. So, pretty darn awesome. So, still can't believe he's 11. That's just mind-blowing to me.
Well, get your head wrapped around this. One of these days, you're going to sit down just like I am this very moment and go, my gosh, my son's going to be 31 this year.
Oh, my God. Yeah, that's, whew.
In a couple of weeks. So, Good Policies. We talk about how you can get the most out of your insurance, get the most out of your dollars for the best insurance coverage. Mike, I think you've noticed it's autumn, right?
Yeah, the official changeover from summer to fall has occurred, and now the crispness is in the air, so to speak, right?
Well, it's getting close to that other season when the Fairbanks Museum said that they let the butterflies go. This also means that we've got to start thinking about our family's safety in the heating season. And about this time every year, we bring up reminders to folks. You got to get yourself safely prepared.
You do. There are people out there who are adamant October 1st is the earliest any thermostat's going to see any activity. And then there's some that just don't care, and they've probably already fired it up in some of these brisk mornings. But we are no doubt heading into heating season, and the time is now, really, to get yourself prepared. If you are using an oil boiler, oil furnace, make sure you schedule the cleaning. I've got my cleaning coming up, I think, in 2 weeks for my office. Not a bad thing to do. It's going to help with your efficiency, and it's going to make sure your system's firing on all cylinders. Wood heat, that's the big one, right? Make sure because that thing is sat dormant. You've putting mail on it that you don't want to open on that wood stove all summer long, or gnomes or something. And you're going to be getting back into the action with it. Make sure you've got it set up and ready to go. Make sure you're still adhering to the spacing requirements of wood heat, keeping a proper distance from combustibles. But more importantly than anything else, make sure that the firebox is good. Make sure that the stovepipe is good. Make sure that the chimney is good. The biggest reason we see fires with chimney fires is because there's a cracked chimney tile. So not a bad idea to, if you're that capable, and there's a lot of people out there who are, put a scope down that thing, put a mirror down there, check it out, make sure the creosote buildup's not too much, maybe clean it, but take some preventative measures now to prevent something possibly devastating occurring in the middle of the winter season. So.
Folks that have moved here from out of state where they don't often burn wood or wood products like wood pellets and such, they don't realize how many people rely on that around here. It is a really reliable heat source, but it is also very dangerous.
It can be when not done properly or when you kind of just get complacent with it. But the same can happen with pellet, right? So when pellet heat started, all the insurance companies like, oh, we love pellet heat. Pellet heat's great, until they started seeing claims. And like, oh, wait a minute, pellet heat's not necessarily that much safer. It is, but you have to have preventative maintenance. You have to keep the augers clean. You have to get the dust out of there. You got to get the ashes out of there. The huge thing that we see so many people is when they're getting ashes out of their stove, they're not using a combustible, something that's non-combustible, paper bag to put your ashes in near the house. And next thing you know, there's a porch fire. I mean, you got to really use some severe common sense and some safety to make sure that you're going to have yourself a good winter.
You so led right into my next point I was going to make. Some people grab a 5-gallon plastic bucket and they put their ashes in it, but it's not. Yes, the concern is whatever you're using to haul your ashes, whether it's flammable or not.
Right.
But just opening the door and setting it outside on the porch is not a good idea. No. We've heard, especially last year, it seemed like we had a lot of fires that were caused by ash buckets out on the porch.
Yeah, that's a real cause of loss for a lot of people. And, think about it. This summer you've been doing your outdoor fires and, in your fire pit or what have you, and you've had these nice hot fires going. I've had times where a day or 2 days later, if I start stoking the embers, they're still very hot, still very capable of igniting if I was to put something in there. And that's very well going to be the case for your wood stove and your pellet stove. It's, it's not a guarantee that those ashes are just cool and ready to hang out. So,
Well, back when you were talking about getting your chimney scoped or using a mirror to look at it or whatever, you also want to think about your dryer vents, and that's not just going into the winter, but the lint buildup in there, those should be cleaned at least once a year, once every 2 years.
right. Or do less laundry. That too. So
That's my world.
there you go.
Another thing we've talked about in the past, and it doesn't have anything to directly do with your insurance coverage, but it has everything in the world to do with your family safety. Fire escape routes, plural.
Well, yeah, fire escape routes are key. You want to make sure that everybody in the family knows exactly what their task is, which is getting out, by the way, and how to get out of your house if something happens. But, gone are the days. I mean, certainly the fire departments are still going to come around when we're changing the clocks and say, now's the time to change the batteries in your smoke detectors. And for many, that still holds true, but there's also those 10-year lithium-ion batteries that last for a very long time, so maybe you're not changing those. How about replacing the requirement of checking and replacing the batteries with pulling those down and checking the date on them and making sure that they're not too old, because they do have an expiration. So you want to make sure that those are all working properly so that everybody can safely escape.
Well, I can tell you the ones that my landlord has in my place chirp.
Yes, they will let you know when they're unhappy. Yeah. But, it's all about some preventative measures because, yes, insurance is no doubt there if you need it. Fire is fire is fire, and that's what we're talking about this morning. But if there is a way for you to mitigate that exposure, now is the time.
The only other heat source that I don't believe we mentioned was propane, and still, you want to have your furnace, your lines, your tanks all inspected.
Absolutely. Have them checked out. Luckily, we have a propane boiler at our house, and, you don't need that annual service necessarily, but you're not going to Ron Popeil that thing and set it and forget it. So you do want to keep an eye on it because it's very important. Because guess what it fails? It fails in the middle of winter. So make sure it's ready to go.
And often in the middle of the night because nobody's paying attention to it. One other note here, any valuables that you have, especially documentation, you may have it in a computer, but it's not a bad idea to put it on a portable device and put it in a fire-safe proof box.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of companies with cloud storage now, and I know some people aren't necessarily comfortable with that, but there are some very legitimate, nice companies, excellent companies that have secure systems for you to have a cloud-based data, which is nice to have just in the event that maybe something completely goes wrong at your house.
Well, the community thanks you for all you do and your concern, and if they have any concerns or, they want to do a little shopping for their coverage, tell them how to get in touch with you.
Sure. You can give us a call at 748-5224. Find us right on Portland Street in St. Johnsbury, online, thebarrettagency.com, Google, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Just look for Barrett Insurance.
Thanks for coming in, Mike.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you in a week's time.
We'll do. I'll be here.
Good Policies, Tuesdays in the morning on Magic with Rita Ora, coming up with Biggie.